Hey guys, Bernie from SpartanTrading.com. Want to hit you guys with just a little bit of a trick and tip that I like to employ during earnings season. It's pretty logical, kind of straightforward. If you guys are new to trading, it's something that you probably haven't thought about before, but this is something that you can certainly apply to every single earnings season or some sort of binary event that happens if there's going to be another event happening shortly after, soon after, that's going to be similar to it. Now, what I'm talking about is earnings price action based off of that type of earnings that's reporting. And to put it in layman's terms, let's say a company is reporting and that company reports it's a tech company, it's reporting earnings and it reports bad guidance or it's guiding down next quarter. Take note at the beginning of that earnings season of how that company reacts. Something like, we can talk about actually Snapchat. For instance, Snapchat, everything looked okay except that they had obviously lower revenues because ad spend was down with their clients, which obviously led to less money being made, revs not being met, etc., etc. But one of the big things that they didn't do was they didn't guide for the Q3. Now, what happens when the company doesn't guide? Typically, they do go down, and that's what we're seeing in this case. Now, we could see a rebound tomorrow. It get bought back up off of this dip. We need to know what that price action is going to be, because if another tech company reports that's similar to Snapchat, doesn't guide Q3, and is dipping on that name, it's likely to have a similar pattern the next day. We saw something with Tesla, which I thought was fairly interesting. Tesla, obviously, their earnings came out last night, and on their earnings, they did beat EPS. They had a rev miss. They had a year-over-year growth of 41.6%. But if you looked at what their earnings were, a lot of it was due to selling a large majority of their Bitcoin holding. So realistically, their earnings EPS would have been most likely a miss or negative if they didn't sell that Bitcoin holding. Now, if you read the report, you would think that would be interpreted as negative. They sold an asset, they generated cash to kind of juice the numbers. And we obviously saw a push on Tesla. Now, that could be an indication that people are willing to buy Tesla down here because they think it's cheap, or people are willing to buy Tesla because on paper it looks like their earnings did beat. Now, whatever the case may be, we need to take note of what that pattern is, because we're likely to see a repeat of that pattern with other tech companies within the industry. So I like to, at the beginning of earnings season, take a lot of notes of what's going to happen and what's happening with price action. Another good example was this SMCI. Now, they didn't report earnings yet, but they did guide up. They gave preliminary guidance and they increased it, basically saying sales were stronger than what they thought. Now, what did we get? We got a gap up, and then on the open of the market, we obviously had a little bit of a sell-off from where it gapped up to in the after hours and then the pre-market. I take note of that as well. Okay, if we see preliminary guidance up, are we likely to see profit taking on the open or continuation higher to the upside on a squeeze? And in this case, we saw obviously a pull down. So looking at other semiconductors, if we see that sort of guidance, preliminary guidance coming in, we may see similar price action. Now, it's the beginning of earnings. I don't have any examples really to show you of, okay, this is what happened with this and this is what happened with these names going forward. But it's just a thought. You tend to see these patterns repeat themselves in each earnings cycle. So get a piece of paper, write down briefly what you kind of saw, and I guarantee you can help you with your conviction the next time you see something report that's similar to what you saw before. Trading's all about pattern recognition. Patterns tend to repeat themselves. Use this information to your advantage when you do trade. Anyways, that's it, guys. SpartanTrading.com if you have any questions. Otherwise, you have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you later.